Got to turn my microphone up. Hello, good morning, welcome to the show. And today, I was going to keep talking about the insurrection, but I thought maybe I'd just let other people share their thoughts on the insurrection and the coverage from yesterday. It was ridiculous. There was a whole lot of ridiculous things. I got plenty of articles. If no one wants to jump in, I got plenty to talk about. But I got to tell you, I'm going to turn my space on here too. I got the spaces open. I got open mic open. There's a link at the top, and I'm actually going to add it to the cloud bot. It'll remind you where you can go if you want to put your 2 cents in. But I got about 20 cents to put in, and holy shit, yesterday. Like I said before the show, what did I do? I watched the speech or speeches by the Vice President of the United States and the former Vice President of the United States. And boy, if you wanted to make something even more divisive than it already is, all you had to do was listen to them for a few minutes. It wasn't a speech of trying to calm people. It was just, in fact, well, it was full. I've got to tell you, it was kind of bullshit. But especially the vice president comparing the events of January 6, 2020 to Pearl Harbor and 9/11. If that were the case, I still got fireworks going on back there. Well, that's okay. It's still a new year. If that were the case, my God, what was the summer of 2020 then? Or the summer of 2019, 21, 20? Yeah, what was the summer of 2020? 2021, 9/11. What the hell year was that January 6th thing? I mean, that's how insignificant it is to me. Just to me, it was another riot, just a different side having a riot. But they say it was an attack on our democracy. Holy shit. An attack on our democracy. I am, wow. Just wow. And boy, oh boy, the former vice president, he was laying on thick when it came to blaming Donald Trump and the big lie. They keep using that term, the big lie. Do they know where that came from? Do they know where the term the big lie came from? You realize that is actually a phrase that the guy with the funny mustache used. They're using his language and relating this to the, there's some who see and some who not see. They're related to those who not see. And I gotta tell you, this is nuts. It is some of the worst propaganda. And now look, I condemn what happened that day. I condemn the people who broke shit and went inside. They should be prosecuted for the trespassing charges or whatever they are being charged with. Not a single person is being charged with insurrection. But the fact that they don't arrest the people who got there first, it's amazing. As I go through that story that we went through yesterday about Ray Epps. And funny, did you hear anyone in the media even mention that name yesterday as you're watching the coverage? I sure didn't. I did not hear it. And I'm like, wait a minute. How is it that we're not hearing this name? This person who clearly was part of what happened, and clearly, I mean, video evidence everywhere. In fact, he's even been interviewed. And nobody has mentioned his name over the last couple of days. At least, and no one in the media. Now, those of us in the know, those of us who are asking, where is Reichstag Hooray? Which is a name I came up with. I wish that would catch on. Start using that. Start asking people, where is Reichstag Hooray? The guy who kept telling people, it's about the Constitution. He would change the subject constantly. It's about the Constitution. And had some weird little exchanges where he's whispering in the ear of some guys just before they move the gates. And you know what else is weird? Okay, so we watched that video yesterday. Well, hang on. Let me let me back up, because I got to start the show. I mean, I know I start the show, but I got to start the show. We'll talk about that after the intro. I'll ask my question, because there's one question that is kind of sticking with me right now, because we saw kind of what happened, and I'm wondering one thing about one location that day, and we'll talk about that in a second after I play the intro. Johnny, play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. All right, stop the music. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet, and welcome to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Friday, the 7th of January, 2022, and I am so happy that you are with me here today talking about the commemoration and coverage of an insurrection. You know, I should put that in quotes. I'm going to edit that in my little whatchamacallit here, YouTube description, because I'm put insurrection in quotes, because there was not an insurrection. Unless you count the Ray Epps, the guy who made the trek to the Capitol grounds possible for all the people coming down the two streets that fed into that particular entrance. How convenient that the signs were taken away, that this is a restricted area, that they're not allowing anyone in. How convenient. They just happened to take down that one set of barricades from that direction where everyone would naturally funnel. How convenient. And my question that I was going to ask before the intro was, how is it that once that barricade was open, because remember, the speech wasn't over yet. It happened 20 minutes before the speech, Donald Trump was still speaking like 20 minutes before his speech was even over. That barricade was breached, and there weren't that many people there. And the people from the crowd from the speech hadn't started walking there yet because the speech was not over. And the speech location was roughly a 30-minute walk, 20 to 30-minute walk from those barricades. And so when the small group went in there and they pushed and the barricades were breached and whatnot, and it was the only barricades being breached at that one point where the two avenues funneled to that one, because the barricades went all the way around the Capitol grounds, and they had checkpoints at all these different locations. But it was this one location where the people were walking from the speech to the Capitol grounds, where they were going to have the rally outside those barricades. But when those people arrived, the barricades were gone, because that first group of people, many of whom have not been arrested broke through and pushed through the Capitol Police. My question is, why is it that when those people came there, one, there were no reinforcements to stop them, and there's a couple of cops there, and that was it. And these people went in there and put those barricades up. Why is it that no reinforcements were brought to that point and re-erected those barricades and the signs that said that this is going to be a restricted area today? How come that is? Why was it just left wide open at that point? Because it wasn't like there was a stream of people coming through yet. Those people that were there, that went through those barricades, went in there, and they were there, and those barricades got open, and then no reinforcements came. After that, they just let everyone come on, funnel through those gates. Why? I don't understand it. It makes no sense that was that way. No idea. Did I see Tim Cass get swatted last night? Yes, I did. That was kind of weird. that was weird. January 6th, some people did some stuff, and now they're blaming the entire Republican Party, who they say are not condemning it properly. Well, yesterday was just a fuck the Republicans fest. It really was. And I got to tell you, it was nuts. Hang on here. I got to open a bunch of articles. Let me do this. Let me say good morning to the folks who are here. I appreciate you guys jumping in and being here bright and early. I haven't even tweeted out the stream, so maybe I should. Has anyone done that yet? I'll do that too while we're talking. First of all, who's here for select a boy? It looks like select. Oh, I don't have this set up. Hang on. Let me fix something here. There we go. I think this is going to be quiet because of the way this thing sets up every time. Anyway, good morning. Select a boy who's here first. You get the bell. Oh, that worked. Oh, that's weird. I'm getting that sound again. Oh, this may be a problem. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for being here. Also, I got to do one of these.
Yeah, boy.
Also, good morning, Jesse Leon, Tyre Alexander, Jeffrey Russell Jr., what's happening? Good morning to, y'all had quite a conversation before we went on here. I'm scrolling down. It's just you guys. Retro Veteran Gamer, what's up? Mike Savage, Blarg. Avocados Diablo, Attack Alpaca, Straight Sith Male, and DI Freighter Watcher, good morning. Also, is that Scotty Dubs, welcome back. Haven't seen you a bit. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. So, this stuff's nuts to me. I don't get it. And then, oh my God, the media riot porn bukkake that was happening yesterday was a little bit embarrassing. I'm sorry. And and some of the fact checks yesterday. Oh my. There were a couple fascinating fact checks that popped up, one on Twitter and one from the AP we'll get to. But yeah, we're going to we'll talk about the big lie. It's another day of January 6th. There were some weird things. So I've got a bunch of articles up here today. One of the darkest days. Oh, and the Democrats using the day to be making it a fundraiser day and also to push their political agenda, which, talk about standing on the dead bodies of protesters because they're the only people who died that day. And then the police who had some tangential link. It's oh my gosh, it's really crazy. Let me see. Threats and actually, I'm gonna have a bunch of articles open today on the tab that I'm probably not gonna get to, but mostly kind of related to just strange things. So unless anyone wants to jump into the mic, I'll just ramble on until I have someone in the green room. But Let me tweet this out real quick because I forgot to do that. Let's see. Clock that. Oh, I know what I need to do. Hang on. Let's copy. Let's paste into there. I don't think I'm going to put it on my other social media though, because what the hell? What the hell happened? It was supposed to be a tweet. Oh, there we go. Paste. That didn't work. All right. Anyway, and then we'll get into the articles. But sorry about this. I should have done this beforehand. Cut, paste, and is streaming live now. Oh, I got to spell live right. Live now. And link. Sorry, this is B-Dawg making sausage, which I meant to put in the smoker yesterday, but got it in too late. There we go. All right. It's live. All right. Glad Tes Cruz shat over himself yesterday. Good thing. Never trusted that weasel for anything but a swamp creature. Watching him walk back his comments was fun, though. Yeah, we got that. We definitely got that coming up. So let's get into some of this. Should I put the music on today? It is Funky Friday. Nah, well, it's too distracting, especially in case we get get some people on to talk today. By the way, it is an open mic day. If you didn't notice that, the link's at the top of the chat. It's also pops into the chat once in a while via Streamlabs, and then we also have an open mic on Twitter Spaces. If you follow me on Twitter, you can find that there. It's your choice of how you want to jump in today. So the first one here. This was the most ironic. I mean, the most ironic of vigils yesterday. There's several different things we're going to show you, but this was one of the most ironic. Yesterday, Antifa-linked organizers who planned to disrupt Trump's inauguration hosted a candlelight vigil for the anniversary of January 6th. Democrats are commemorating the January 6th riots using far-left Antifa-linked agitators who plan to disrupt the president's inauguration in 2021 had he won the election. Counterterrorism expert Kyle Scheidler reported on Twitter. Meanwhile, a group called Movement Catalyst, led by longtime Direct Action community organizer Liz Butler, is organizing the Democrats' candlelight vigil for democracy Thursday afternoon, according to WUSA.com. Here it is. The lawmakers shared their accounts at the Candace Caucus Room regarding the deadly January 6th. Okay, they keep calling this a deadly January 6th attack. Deadly to whom? These accounts will be presided by U.S. Representative Jason Crow, an Army Ranger and veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, who comforted Representative Susan Wild while police fought to keep protesters out of the chamber. That's at 2:30. Then in between 2 and 6 p.m., Movement Catalyst will host a candlelight vigil at the National Mall. Movement Catalyst is a social movement support hub. The vigil will be held for democracy and in remembrance of the attack on democracy that occurred on January 6, 2021. Good morning, Amy. How are you? Hello, Zach Osborne. Nice to see you also. Another member of Movement Catalyst is Patrick Young, a left-wing organizer and campaigner. Scheidler told American Greatness. Young works with labor unions, including the Service Employees International Union and Teamsters, environmental activist organizations, and left-of-center community-based nonprofits, according to Influence Watch. Also, Butler and Young are organizers with the Antifa Antifa-linked group shut down D.C., which conducted demonstrations blocking roadways in Washington, D.C. in 2019 and planned to disrupt Trump's inauguration in 2021. Both have decades of far-left community organizing experience, according to Shaq, the director and senior analyst for the Homeland Security and Counterterrorism and Center for Security Policy. In other words, they were participating in the riots in D.C. a couple years ago. But yes, they were going to hold a vigil for democracy. You can read the rest about them later. Also, now here's one of those fact checks. The AP declares mistreatment of January 6 prisoners a conspiracy theory. Oh, we have a bot to kill here. Just a second. Goodbye, bot. Of course, actually, these bots are kind of hit and runs. They just leave shit and then they don't really come back. But the reason is I zap them is because then you report them and those channels get taken away. Anyway, so the Associated Pressed. Did I say the Associated Depressed? I think I did. The Associated Pressed has declared via its fact checker that the mistreatment of hundreds of people still in prison for being involved in the January 6th Capitol incident is a conspiracy theory. Well, let me start before I even read this, because the fact that they're in jail for over a year without a trial with federal misdemeanor charges, when the limit in federal charges is supposed to be 70 days, is in of itself abuse. They're political prisoners. Let's just put it that way. Most of these people are charged with, at worst, misdemeanors, right? That's the majority of them. Misdemeanors. And they've been holding them in jail without bail. Why? But you know who's not in jail right now? Ray Epps, who should be in jail. Scratch your head on that one. Anyway, here's the AP, and this is obviously this is Andy No's Twitter feed, but here's the AP fact checked. As it comes up on the actual Twitter machine here. It's taking a second to load. Claim January 6th riot suspects are mistreated. Now, notice how they do this too. Notice how they do this. This is how they do fact checks nowadays. They will make some general statement that they can find something that they can have a sliver of either truthiness or falsiness, but it kind of is it's a straw man statement because it's either very vague or worded in such a way that they can knock it down without having to lie any more than they already are lying. But they're lying by stating the claim is that jailed January riot suspects are mistreated. Klepper says it's false. Authorities say they get food, and here it is. Right here. There's the claim. The January 6th suspects are political prisoners that are being mistreated. No, they are not, despite some assertions from members of Congress. Really? Should a person in jail or going to be on trial for a misdemeanor, they should even be in jail? Huh? Do they need to be in solitary confinement for almost a year? That's not mistreatment for something that might not even be, they might get a fine at worst and probation? Is that not mistreatment? While it's true that some of the suspects have complained about their time in jail, it's wrong to argue they are being held as political prisoners. Authorities have said the suspects in custody are being given the same access to food and medical care as any other inmate. Well, no, that's not true. Because remember, these are prisons, or this is the jails that they move some prisoners out because of COVID, but they're not letting these people out. I mean, it's pretty comical. Here's Cernovich. Government officials assure me they have done nothing wrong. I take them at their word. The guy's literally state media. And how is being given food and not given food evidence against them for being political prisoners? It's a clown show. It's a damn clown show. It's I gotta tell you, it's a bit hilarious. It's funny to me that they do this. Holy shit. Anyway, what the hell was this? Oh, that was my notifications. By the way, thank you, Nobody Not Me. And who is this? Oh, Cool Frog. Thanks for retweeting the tweet of the show. I appreciate you. Anyway, well, now, so here's their article though. Here we'll go back at here because this is while it's true some of the suspects have complained about their time in jail, it's wrong to argue they're being held as political prisoners. Authorities have said the suspects in the company have the same access to food and medical care as any other inmates. The piece also asserts that the so-called QAnon shaman Jacob Chansley was even given organic food after requesting it. Attorneys for some of the prisoners have previously alleged that they are regularly being denied access to their clients, illegal, who are being subjected to torture in jail. The inmates and some of their lawyers have alleged that they are being held in solitary confinement and have been subject to beatings, threats, and verbal abuse by guards. An attorney described his client Russell Samsel's face as looking like a tomato that was stomped on after a beating by correctional officers that left him blind in one eye, and a skull fracture and a detached retina. Inmate Ronald Sandlin also alleged that minority guards are targeting the mostly white inmates with racial abuse, specifically noting that one guard shouted, "I hate all white people and your honky religion." Attorney Joseph McBride appeared last year on CNN in an infamous interview where he vociferously alleged that his client and others were being brutally tortured 5 miles from the White House. I wonder if they'll get any, what is that, the pictures they got in Iraq when they were torturing those prisoners, which was absolutely fucked up. Well, who knows? How long is this interview?
Rider charged.
It's too long. It's 8 minutes long. But if you want to watch the video, you can watch that yourself. Even CNN's, even this is CNN, ran a piece regarding the mistreatment of at least one prisoner who had cancer and was released owing to unsafe conditions in prison. Lawmakers, including Representative oh my gosh. By the way, I do have my cup of reparations here. I probably should take a drink. Lawmakers, including Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Arizona Representative Paul Gosar, have spoken on the matter. You can read those comments there. So, still, the other fact check, this one popped up on Twitter. Let me see if they still have it there. They might have taken it down by now. There was a fact check on Twitter. They've taken it down from the what's happening section. But they were saying that there's no what was it they said? And it was on the sidebar for a long time yesterday. They were saying that so here's how they do fact checks. Their fact check was, no, the FBI did not plan the January 6th insurrection. They're saying that was the claim. Okay. Now, basically what they do is they put up a straw man argument, meaning an argument that could be similar to what people are saying, but it's not complete. It's not what people are really saying. And then they knock that down, because I don't think anyone is saying that. The FBI planned the January 6th insurrection. First of all, it wasn't an insurrection. And so no one's saying the FBI planned the January 6th insurrection. Second of all, it's funny, they spent the entire article. You look at all the articles that they noted. They said, fact checkers say the FBI did not plan the January 6th insurrection. And then all the articles they quote, because there are several different ones they listed, all kind of saying the same thing. But the funny thing about it is, and they all use the same straw man, but not a single article mention what people are asking about when it comes to were there feds involved in the riot? Was there anyone there who it has been they say the unindicted co-conspirators. Oh, and the one article went through this whole thing of why the legal term unindicted co-conspirators, that how a Fed informant or an FBI agent cannot be considered a unindicted co-conspirator because they can't be legally termed as a co-conspirator. That's not what people are saying. Okay, we want to know who these people are that obviously were egging the crowd on to do things that they may not have done anyway, but they ended up doing because, the crowd went along with it. You know, there's a little bit of a herd mentality when you're in a situation like that. Who are these people that were not arrested? Particularly the most glaring example of which is Ray Epps, who was obviously encouraging people to go into the Capitol, quote unquote, into the Capitol. Over and over. We've got multiple examples. We've talked to different groups all around that Friday night. They got him video of him doing it during the day on the way to the Capitol with the first group that went to the barricades, and he's whispering to some of the guys and telling them what they should and shouldn't take into there so they don't get shot. And then you see he instructs one, and all of a sudden then they all take down this barricade. And then later he's seen protecting police officers. It's like, what? Who is this guy? And why was he there telling people to go into the Capitol, quote unquote? Video evidence, tons of it. The entire 2 big articles, a revolver. And nobody in the rest of the media seems interested in why this person is not behind bars awaiting charges and a trial. Not one. And oh, J6 glowed like luminol in a strip club. Wow. That is that's descriptive right there. Hello, Data Wasteland, by the way. So yeah, go figure. Where is Reichstag Hooray? Make that trend, please. Where is Reichstag Hooray? There are some funny videos I have for you too that I've been pulling up. But anyway, let me move on here so I can get through this today. So anyway, the fact checks are hilarious. The fact checks are freaking hilarious because they are so they reword or restate what is being claimed in not only a disingenuous way, but in a way to be able to come up with some way to make them false. They're lying to you by changing the question, and that's the definition of a straw man. You make up a fake argument that you can argue against easily. You can easily knock down. That's not the argument people are making. They're not saying that the FBI planned an insurrection. They use that wording because then you would have to say, well, the FBI planned this entire thing, right? Well, of course that's false. That's stupid. It's stupid. To do my job, and that doesn't prove he was a Fed. He may just have been someone who got fired up, and when he saw what became of it, and he had second thoughts and tried to calm people down. No, he didn't. That's not what he did. But I see you are doing your job, and you're doing your job well. Legally now, fact checks are just opinion. Well, yes, they are just opinion, but holy shit, they're terrible. They're terrible bullshit opinions. All right, let's talk about the president's anniversary speech. Little article here in Front Page Magazine today, which, oh my God. I just think this is an interesting take. And apparently, Joe Biden had some big lies. And meanwhile, Kamala Harris compared the Capitol riot to Pearl Harbor and 9/11. Let's see, about 2,600 people died at Pearl Harbor, or were killed at Pearl Harbor that day. 2,900 people killed on 9/11 that very day, and more deaths occurred later, about 3,000. let's see, how many were killed at the Capitol riot? Well, three were killed, and 2 died of natural causes. Or 2 were killed, and 3 were died of natural causes, and they were all protesters. Oh, but yes, Brian Singer had a stroke a day later, and then we'll get into. There is one curious example that they used yesterday. We'll get to that later. It's just I'm foreshadowing. I am foreshadowing. Anyway, Biden's January 6th anniversary speech and his big lies. First, Vice President Kamala Harris set the stage yesterday for the left's exploitation of the first anniversary of the Capitol riot 1 year ago with incendiary remarks that outrageously compared the events of January 6, 2021 with the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, and the Islamist terrorist attack on America's homeland on September 11, 2001. This morbid comparison dishonors the thousands of lives lost in both those catastrophic days and is a declaration of war on the millions of Americans who reject her corrupt administration. Yeah, that's the thing, too. So when she says something like that, you realize that both those events are something that we declared war for, right? And so she makes that comparison, and she doesn't necessarily blame it, but she kind of mentioned Donald Trump. But then Joe Biden gets up and makes a speech that he's talking about basically Trump and anyone who supported Trump. Are complicit in what his vice president just described as an act of war. I'm just saying. So when Biden took his turn, the self-proclaimed unifier delivered an angry, divisive January 6th anniversary speech, falsely accusing former President Donald Trump and his supporters of placing a dagger at the throat of American democracy. Well, that's weird because all those people that went into that building left that day, and then democracy carried on. There certainly was a delay in a certain aspect of counting some votes or some shit. But how did they? Well, anyway. And then placing a dagger at the throat of democracy by questioning his legitimacy. Evidently, in Biden's version of the Constitution, the right to protest is reserved for Antifa and Black Lives Matters, but not just other Americans. Hello, Rusty Shaq. The only dagger at the throat of democracy is Biden's renewed effort to take over and rig national elections under the false flag of voting rights and manufactured emergency because the polls show there is no other conceivable way he could win the 2024 presidential election. Oh, where's my bell? I need the bell for that one. Biden asks, are we going to be a nation that accepts political violence as a norm? What the actual fuck are you asking, Joe Biden? What do you think the entire year of 2020 was? We had political violence for 18 months before this January 6th thing. Oh, I see. Oh, and when rioters were burning their way across the country and Kamala Harris and other future members of the Biden administration were raising money to bail them out so they could go out and burn and loot more and beat up more and kill more police officers. I'm just saying. After leftist radicals attempted to destroy the federal courthouse in Portland in July of that year, setting fires and breaching the courthouse doors, then candidate Biden's response to these clear acts of insurrection was to blame Trump, not the rioters. Good morning, Green Badger Outdoors. We have a president who is determined to sow chaos and division. Oh my God! What was 2020? Said Biden, to make matters worse, even better. Biden has refused to condemn either Antifa or Black Lives Matter by name. He will not condemn any of the Democrats, including his own vice president who fundraises for the rioters, and he has met with Black Lives Matter leaders instead of prosecuting them for terrorism. Oh, did he mention Maxine Waters either? I don't think so. Kamala and Biden claim that they care about police officers. Where are they on the over 2,000 police officers injured in the summer riots? Most Americans would agree that political violence is wrong. Yes, prosecute any Capitol rioters who actually engaged in criminal behavior. But What about the Black Lives Matter and Antifa and other leftist rioters who so far have escaped any consequences for their political violence across the country in the second half of 2020? Their anarchy resulted in immeasurably more destruction, fatalities, and injuries than occurred on January 6th. Hell, they burned a lot of shit. $2 billion in damages estimated at minimum. Now, this is not to excuse the criminal behavior of those who entered the Capitol illegally and engaged in destructive acts, but only to highlight the clear double standard in how the left views the January 6 riots versus the long, hot summer of leftist riots in 2020. Biden added, "We need a president who will bring us together instead of tear us apart, calm instead of inflame, and enforce the law faithfully rather than put his political interests first." Joe Biden is not that president. Sorry, he's not. Biden's speech is the embodiment of tearing America apart and inflaming tensions and of putting his political agenda above the law. In his January 6th anniversary speech, Biden used Trump and his 74 million voters in the 2020 election as foils to divert attention from his own administration's miserable failures at home. What the hell was that? The stupid 19 pandemic, skyrocketing inflation, surging crime, illegal immigrants flooding into the country with record numbers, also having stupid 19. And those are crises still plaguing the country as 2020 begins. There was no call in Biden's speech for an end to political violence on the left as well as on the right. Let me repeat that. There was no call in Biden's speech for an end to political violence on the left as well as on the right. He made no effort to soothe the American people's frayed nerves or look forward with a positive agenda to solve problems his administration has created. Instead, the divider-in-chief chose to look backward and hype last year's Capitol incident as a mortal threat to democracy and the rule of law. Biden repeatedly in a speech said that he intended to separate the truth about what happened on January 6th from the big lies. Oh, he's using that little mustache guy's analogy. He claimed were being told by Trump and his supporters. "We must absolutely be clear about what is true and what is a lie," Biden declared. But the president spouted at least 3 big lies during his own speech. First, Biden falsely accused Trump of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. Trump was certainly vocal about challenging the suspicious results of the 2020 election, but he did and said nothing to prevent the transfer of power. Biden assumed office peacefully on January 2021 as scheduled. I added the as scheduled. Second, Biden claimed that Trump had rallied the mob to attack. That is false. During Trump's January 6th speech at his peaceful Save America rally, Trump said to the attendees, we have come to demand that Congress do the right thing, and that only the electors who have been lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Emphasis added. Trump is not responsible for the violent actions of a fringe breakaway group. Hell, they were there before Trump was even done talking. Third, Biden exploited the first anniversary of the Capitol riot to promote the Democrats' power-grabbing voting reform legislation. He distorted what states are doing to protect the integrity of the election process, claiming that new laws are being written not to protect the vote, but to deny it. Now, I still haven't seen which part of that law is going to deny any of those laws in any of the states. I haven't seen anything in any of those bills that they can point to that says, oh, it's denying people the way to vote. Not only to suppress the vote, but not only to suppress the vote, but to subvert it. Now, Georgia's new voting law, for example, has been a frequent target of Biden's verbal attacks. But that law is actually more liberal in allowing no-excuse mail-in voting as opposed to the more restrictive requirements of New York and Biden's home state of Delaware, where voters must have a valid reason for not voting in person. Finally, to put things in perspective, it is worth remembering a far more dangerous attack on the Capitol and on members of Congress than January 6th. On March 1st, 1954, 4 Puerto Rican nationalist radicals invaded the Capitol and began spraying the place with bullets. they shot 5 congressmen, injuring at least one seriously. Former President Jimmy Carter commuted the sentence of the Puerto Rican terrorists well before the end of what would have been their full sentences. Now, despite their hysterical claims of fearing for their lives at the hands of Trump supporters, not a single member of Congress was injured on January 6, 2021. In fact, I don't know that any of them even saw a protester. The only violent fatality all that day was that of an unarmed protester, Air Force veteran Ashley Babbitt, shot and killed at point-blank range by a Capitol police officer. The January 6th breach on the Capitol was no Pearl Harbor, and it was no 9/11. Such disgusting comparisons are a brazen appeal to raw emotion in a cynical attempt by Democrats from the president on down to push their plan to federalize elections for partisan gain and for permanent party control. So, now, and I still contend, and I was watching Rakita, Jesse saw me in there, and I agree with, some of the lawyer types that say, the shooting of Ashley Babbitt probably was legit. And now I guess apparently there was a witness there that was telling them that, if they entered that area that they would be shot, and they were warning them, and she went in there anyway. And as much as there's a difference between legal and was it right? She's unarmed. Let's put it this way. If an unarmed protester had been shot to death in any of the other protests over the summer of that year, do you think that there would not be more riots because of that? Do you think that more things wouldn't have been burnt down because of that? Because the only people who died in the riots over the summer were not killed by police. They were killed by other rioters. And there were a lot of them. A lot of people died over the summer. But I guess, thankfully, none of them were killed by police, because just imagine how that would go. All right, let's move on. In Human Events, there's an opinion piece just that I'm not going to go through, but I just wanted you to see it. It'll be in the tab. Everything they've told you about January 6th is the lie. I'll just give you the kind of lead here. A year ago today, I was standing a few feet from the stage where President Donald Trump spoke to hundreds of thousands of supporters at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. I was there handling press for the event on behalf of Women for America First, the organization founded by Amy Kramer, one of the most committed patriots in the country. I left that event just as the president was wrapping up his remarks and walked back to my hotel, just a couple of blocks away, through a sea of smiling, cheering, and excited Trump supporters. I walked into the suite at our hotel and told Amy how happy and honored I was to be part of such an amazing event. I told her I have been a part of a lot of political events over my 20-plus years in this business, but nothing as powerful or as important as this event today. A mere 30 minutes later, absolutely befuddled at the scenes of violence I was seeing at the Capitol building, I left the hotel, hopped on a metro train out of the city, and headed home. In my wildest, darkest, and most dystopian nightmare, I could have never envisioned how the left and the legacy media would twist and manipulate what happened on January 6th in order to pursue their partisan political agenda. Let's be absolutely clear. Everything they have told you about January 6th is a lie. I can do no justice to a comprehensive list of their lies. I would just leave that to the absolute best reporter on the planet when it comes to January 6th, Julie Kelly, which I'll open the linked article that she has there also, which is this one. She gave me a link to several articles. Oh, this is just Julie Kelly's reporting. Here's some of the most egregious. Despite thousands of descriptions of the Capitol riot as an insurrection, the truth is that not a single person has been charged with insurrection. Federal law defines it. Goes through this. Federal law defines what insurrection is. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go through this article on your own, but it's she has about 3 points that she goes through here. I really wasn't planning on going through that one today. Let's move on though. So, and then here's a list of 30 far more significant events that happened on the date of January 6th in history. Which why they came up with this in 2021. The same year, 50 pro-democracy activists rounded up and arrested in Hong Kong. 2013, the NHL reaches an agreement to end a 113-day lockout. 2001, Congress certifies George W. Bush as the winner of the 2000 election after Congressional Black Caucus attempts an insurrection by trying to block the counting of Florida's electoral votes. In 1994, the Olympic hopeful Nancy Kerrigan was injured by an attack set up by the husband of rival skater Todd Hart. Okay, some of it's tongue-in-cheek. 1979, the Village People's YMCA becomes the United Kingdom's #1 single. At its peak, it sold more than 150,000 copies a day. 1975, Wheel of Fortune premieres on NBC, hosted by Pat Sajak and Vanna White. Holy shit, 1975? 75, 85, 95, 2005, 2015. Holy shit, that show's been on for 50, what? That can't be right. 85, 95, 2005, 2015. It's coming up on 50 years. Been on for 46 years, 47 years. My God. How old were they when that show came on? Pat Sajak's still going strong. Anyway, that article's here in Issues and Insights. In 1412, Joan of Arc was born. 1494, the first mass in the New World is celebrated at La Isabella Hispaniola. 1540, King Henry VIII of England married his fourth wife, Anne of Cleves. Anyway, these are all the things that happened on January 6th. Hilarious. By the way, it is open mic day. If anyone wants to tell me your story today, and I do have an space open on Twitter Spaces. All right, let's move on. This was this was so weird, and I'm just gonna show you. This is the weirdest damn thing that happened during the The Price is Right is old as hell too. I remember The Price is Right from when I was a kid. And when Bob Barker still had brown hair, and then his hair turned white. But the thing about Wheel of Fortune, it has the same hosts. So this is the weirdest thing from yesterday, as far as what do they call it? They had the commemoration. The House was doing this commemoration of January 6th. And in the middle of this commemoration,
not a cure, but
the hell, let's skip this ad. In the middle of the commemoration, Nancy Pelosi, the price is wrong, bitch. One of my favorite lines from Happy Gilmore. Okay. In the middle of this commemoration, they're talking about January 6th. They're talking about the trauma of the day and this insurrection and the attack on democracy. And then Nancy Pelosi decides to do this. This is wild. Okay, here's what happens in the middle of our commemoration to an attack on democracy.
To begin the conversation, we're privileged to have a contribution from one of the great creative talents of our time, Lin-Manuel Miranda. May his beautiful words be an inspiration to us.
What?
Among the words he said and in the music, we'll make it right for you. If we lay a strong enough foundation, we'll pass it on to you, and we'll give the world to you. Lin-Manuel and his father and the Hamilton singers, whom we'll hear from, said that they were all very honored to be asked to participate today. I call your attention.
Is she drunk?
A new year brings hope for the future.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna give you the other version of this. It's down here, I think. Is this it? No. Okay, wait a minute. We'll go this one. We'll see.
New energy to face the tasks ahead of us, and a renewed promise to strengthen the foundations of our democracy.
Why? Why?
We're all stewards of the American experiment.
Why is there an actor on my stage? You know, here's what they're trying to do, okay? Here's what she decided that she was going to do, okay? She wanted to make this a stage production, very much like, you know, when they would have commemoration services for 9/11 or, you know, anything like that, and they'd bring out some musical guest to sing to the crowd. Yes, that is the guy from Hamilton. Look, I don't think he's a douche, Afghans Diabli. I think maybe he's just, no, I think he's a talented guy. And personally, I really like Hamilton too. I thought it was well done, even though it was just an odd, I mean, I like what he did with it. I mean, it's a cool story and the way they dramatized, you know, some part of our history. It was kind of cool. And you know, the whole, you know, I don't know, what do you call it? When they put the diversifying of the American story, at least it makes it interesting for people who may not be interested in history. Let's put it that way. So I don't mind. I don't think he's a douche. I think he's a talented guy. But whatever. But why did they bring him here for this?
Working to pass down to our children and our grandchildren a more perfect union that treats all its citizens with fairness and equity.
Equity? No, not with equity. There's no such thing as equity. Stop using that word. There's no such thing as equity because people are not equal. People are different. People have different talents. People have different interests. People have different motivation. People have different abilities. Different has all kinds of things, and there's no such thing as equity. There's never, ever, ever, even if you were perfectly communist, there's never equity. Because the people who want to be communist are the ones who get a little extra equity, right? Because they think they deserve more. There's no such thing as equity. No, there's no motivation in equity. But
we should never take our rights and liberties for granted, and we must remain committed to finding a way forward together.
Why are you
That's what I wrote about in
speaking?
the song.
And then he wrote about it in this song, because this is a song from Hamilton, not even one of the best songs from Hamilton, but he brought in a bunch of different people who've played the guys.
Someday.
And then tell you what, I'm not even gonna play it because then I get one of those copyright things. Hello, David McDowell, how you doing? The Hamilton clip was filmed before January 6th, filmed September 2000. Yeah, but they brought it up. Why? The Hamilton was filmed before. Yeah, no, but why did they use it? That's what I don't get. I deliberately avoided the whole Hamilton thing, the play, the discussion, the political theater, all clownery. You know what? It gives some people learning something about history that they probably didn't know. And, you know, if you can get people to learn history, I guess I don't mind the way he did it. Oh my God. Sidney Poitier died. Rest in peace, Sidney Poitier. Great actor. Won an Oscar for Best Actor. Dies at the age of 94. Wow. I just noticed that on the sidebar here. Yeah, the whole Hamilton thing, I don't get it. So it was Little Theater in turn. He introduced other cast members who performed Dear Theodosia as part of the January 6th remembrance. And Democrats applauded after the song, performed by a video, concluded, and Pelosi said it was important to have the arts as a part of this. I didn't know. Why? Why? Oh my gosh. Pelosi's remarks and the performance followed speeches from President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, the latter of whom compared January 6th protests to Pearl Harbor and September 11th. Yeah, and and Dick Cheney showed up. That was nice of Dick Cheney to show up. He and his daughter were the only Republicans in the entire room that day. Couldn't go figure. Let's see what else we got here. That was literally theater. I had that open twice. Let me get rid of that. Let's see. Oh, and so, like I said, but the Democrats, they were the only ones there, and they basically used the day to fundraise and push their agenda. Democratic lawmakers, organizations, and activists are fundraising off the January 6th Capitol riot, while at the same time claiming it was one of the most dangerous threats to the U.S. government in history. Democratic leaders such as Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Representative Pramila Jayapal have sent out emails asking for funds while castigating former President Donald Trump and Republicans for allegedly inciting an insurrection that killed multiple people. Democrat and progressive groups such as the Democratic National Committee and Everytown for Gun Safety, those weirdos, have also sent out fundraising emails on the riot's anniversary. Let's see, whose is this? Is this Schumer's? 1 year ago today, supporters of former President Donald Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to overturn the results of a free and fair 2020 election, inciting the big lie and disinformation that insurrectionists tried to overthrow our democracy. 5 people were killed and countless others injured. It was one of the darkest days in American history. Oh, 5 people were killed. You mean 2 people were killed and 3 died of natural causes, of complications, of things that, you can't have, whatever. The DNC fundraising message began similarly. 1 year ago today, our democracy was attacked. The will of the people was under assault, and our Constitution faced the gravest of threats. Some of the emails pushed for Democrats' overhaul of the election laws that would federalize much of the U.S. election progress, stripping authority from the states. Senator Bernie Sanders claimed in his latest fundraising easy mail that our democracy is under attack from Republicans passing state-level election reforms designed to shore up voting processes after the 2020 election. But the truth is that the attack on our democracy goes far deeper than the violence of January 6, 2021. Our democracy is under attack from Republicans in Congress and the state legislatures across the country who are doing everything in their power to suppress the vote and make it harder for the people of color and young people to vote. Fuck off, Bernie. Hello, Brett Hayes. Dick Cheney, did anyone get shot? Someone made the joke this morning. Someone said that this morning, one of the funnier jokes is, I would have felt much safer being in the middle of that insurrection than going hunting with Dick Cheney. That was hilarious. I think it might have been, was it Jack who said that this morning or somebody in their chat? Anyway, now, while Democratic lawmakers, a group involved in January 6th to raise money, invoked January 6th to raise money. Okay, they keep talking. Everyone's making the point of Kamala Harris comparing the January 6th riot to 9/11 in Pearl Harbor. Whew, shit. But she did not use January 6th as a fundraiser, but she did use it as an opportunity to push the Biden agenda, however, calling for action on Democrats' election reform. So, basically, they're studying the dead bodies of 5 protesters who perished on January 6th, and that's how they're. And it's funny because they keep mentioning this deadly day, right? This deadly day, and that we're having they had like 12 moments of silence during the day, right? 12 moments at different points during the day, having a moment of silence for people who died on January 6th. So they had basically what they did. They had 12 moments of silence for Ashley Babbitt. Isn't that special? Hey, we got our first sponsor of the day. Thank you, John Moses Browning. That name sounds familiar. Who dropped a bullet in the tip jar today and through Streamlabs. And John Moses Browning, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. You know what? I think I'm going to close this Spaces thing because it's making me crazy and no one's jumping in there anyway. And so I'm going to go ahead and close it because I think it's what's causing this weird echo when I talk through there. So let's make sure that's off. And we're going to do a little do not disturb here too. Let's see if we can fix this, and then we'll read John Moses Browning's comment. Let me try this. Look at that. That does change it. Anyway, John Moses Browning with the bullet in the tip jar says, proper gun control means using both hands. Yes, exactly. Thank you, John Moses Browning. You are correct, sir. Thank you for sponsoring the show today. Shoot straight and keep your eyes open. That's what I was trying to say. I'm sticking to it. Anyway, it is open mic day, by the way, just in case the open mic link is at the top. But if not, I'm going to just keep talking. So anyway, Democrats are lining their pockets on the dead bodies of Capitol protesters, including Ashley Babbitt, and had several, at least they honored her with a moment of silence several times during the day. All right, let's see. Retrospective disruption of congressional proceedings during the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. Oh yeah, by the way, so because they're talking about how the insurrection slowed down example of the government process, right? And I'm saying, well, how about did this happen ever at any other time in history? Have the Capitol buildings ever been taken over by any other groups? Have there been breaches of Capitol security? Well, just about every year when Trump was in office, and oh, by the way, real quick, thank you, Tyre Alexander. I appreciate you sponsoring the show today. Tyre says, whenever I hear true equality, I think of the short story Harrison Bergeron. This, Animal Farm, and 1984 are supposed to be warnings, not a prophecy. I don't know why I mentioned the commas in there, but true, yes. So if you didn't understand what the hell I just read, whenever I hear true equality and I think of the short story of Harrison Bergeron. This Animal Farm in 1984 are supposed to be a warning, not a prophecy. Thank you very much for sponsoring the show. I appreciate you for sponsoring the show today, Tyre. I appreciate it. Anyway, so let's go back to this disturbance. This is a retrospective. Since Democrats and their allies in the liberal media have been virtue signaling overdrive from the last year since the Capitol riot on how, in so many words, our institutions should not be disrupted or disrespected, we thought it'd be a good idea to do a flashback to another recent pivotal moment in our nation's history where they seem to hold the exact opposite view for reasons that will be obvious to everyone. It was the fall of 2018 during the Supreme Court confirmation hearings of Brett Kavanaugh, who at the time was a D.C. Circuit judge. The retirement of SCOTUS Justice Anthony Kennedy paved the way for then President Trump to make a second of what would end up being 3 nominations and eventual confirmations to the Supreme Court. One Trump nomination was too much for the radical left, let alone any more than that, and since Kennedy was viewed as a moderate swing vote type by political observers and as safe on so-called abortion rights, the left was terrified that Kavanaugh would be the type of justice who would tip the scales rightward. As a result, the attempted borking of Kavanaugh commenced apace. Now, if you're not sure what borking means, look up Robert Bork confirmation or lack thereof, and that'll explain what borking is. We have a comprehensive timeline of the brutal attacks the left launched on Kavanaugh here. I'll open that link, and that'll be in the tab below. But the one that stands out in my mind more than any of the others that happened at the time was how hundreds of peaceful protesters stormed the steps of the Supreme Court, something that previously had not been allowed to take place. Worse, several of them stood nose to nose with the doors on our nation's highest court and then proceeded to angrily pound on them as though trying to knock them down and get through so they could forcibly stop the Kavanaugh swearing-in ceremony. CNN, which has been obsessed over the Capitol riot and which has repeatedly falsely claimed those who breached the Capitol on January 6, 2021 were insurrectionists, covered the storming of the steps of the Supreme Court and had zero issue with the leftist agitators getting a little too close to the proceedings going on the other side of the door. In fact, the in-studio anchor literally referred to angry mobs, including those trying to beat down the Supreme Court doors, as people who were demanding their voices be heard and whose passion was only growing. Here's a little clip of that. This is a little too long, but... Wow, this is
These
looking...
are live images, folks, at the doors of the Supreme Court, where you can see protesters have gathered. They are demanding that their voices be heard as they anticipate the person who will be a new Supreme Court justice, Judge Brett Kavanaugh, to be sworn in here any moment. In a bigger picture, you can see approximately how many people who have gathered there. It looks like there are dozens, and they are chanting.
And they're...
Kavanaugh has got to go, is what I'm hearing them say. You see, there is high security there. As we look at these pictures, I want to bring in with me here.
Now, granted, I don't see necessarily anything that would be considered violence, but they have breached a government building, trying to stop a government process. I'm sure that every single one of these sat in jail for a year for trying to do that, right? I mean, they're you know, and you know, it's fascinating too. I don't see the police beating them back. They're right up against the door, pounding on the door. I don't know.
Ariane DeVoe and Julie Pace. Ariane, when you look at these pictures, having covered the Supreme Court for so long, have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, I'll tell you this, you're usually not allowed on those stairs. You're not allowed up there. We did see
no,
the
it's a
nice...
restricted area. Oh, what happened there? What the fuck's going on? Maybe I'm getting in
He
trouble.
was nominated. There was a peaceful protest where people were allowed to stand and sit on those stairs. But we haven't seen anything like this. And why it's particularly interesting is we believe that he's going to be sworn in behind closed doors with Chief Justice John Roberts giving him one oath, Justice Kennedy delivering the other vote, which of course is so poignant because not only is he taking Justice Kennedy's seat, but...
And I do mean any attempted disruption of the confirmation process was viewed by the media and Democrats during the time as citizens simply exercising their First Amendment rights. That includes not just storming the steps of the court, but also activists left stalking of fence-sitting senators like then Arizona Republican Jeff Flake in the hallways and elevators, as well as takeovers of the Senate buildings where sit-ins took place, including pro-abortion celebrities and then Democrat Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's cousin, Amy Schumer. Oh, there she is. There she is.
A vote for Kavanaugh is a vote saying women don't matter.
Well, I believe survivors. Oh, so virtuous. Yes. Yeah, so anyway, Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal boasted of his involvement in a similar sit-in. Proud to join Yale Law sit-in today to demand Justice Kavanaugh's sexual assault allegations be fully investigated before the Senate votes on this nominee. The convenient. And one of the women who cornered Flake became such an icon for the left that she was invited to speak at rallies for failed 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders. Remember this lady who is in the Senate building? Not even, this is a restricted area. This is a restricted area. Nobody shot her. My goodness. My goodness. And anyway, I have zero doubt, none, that the anti-Kavanaugh demonstrators had they broken through these doors, the mainstream media and Democrats would have continued to frame their action as just as they did the violent, deadly Antifa BLM-led riots last year, as peaceful protests from people who were passionate enough to risk bodily harm and or arrest to make their voices heard. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, so special, so special. Anyway. So, let's see. By the way, I'll say we've got a little time left. I got a couple more. Here's, by the way, I did also link to the timeline of the brutal attacks on Justice Kavanaugh they were pretty mean to that guy. He came up with some bullshit charges. So here things from July 9th, 2018, all the way through October 8th, when he was sworn in, including this. Is it Wayne or Garth? I don't remember which one this one is. I think she's Wayne is Wayne's World. So Garth's second cousin here. What the hell was her name? I don't even remember her name. It was the hell. Well, that's just the major developments. But then, the hell was her name? I just call her Garth. Not Julie Swetnick. That's the one who completely lied and then admitted she lied. Oh my God, what the hell was her name? They don't have it here. Reluctant character as Christine Blasey Ford. Yeah. Just anyway, this is the whole timeline of everything that happened to Brett Kavanaugh. Anyway, Ted Cruz went on Tucker Carlson yesterday and tried to reinstate his political career because of him calling the January 6th day a terrorist attack. Well, maybe, in a way, maybe it was. I mean, you got to think that, what's his name? Reichstag Ray. Do you think Reichstag Ray was a terrorist or just trying to make things worse? On Wednesday, Tucker Carlson made most Republicans aware of the fact that Ted Cruz referred to the events of January 6, 2021 as a quote, violent terrorist attack on the Capitol. On Thursday, Ted Cruz appeared on Tucker's show to try to walk back what he said. Tucker was brutal. Let's just watch it. You know what? I'm even willing to watch this entire segment. Well, or just
for you last time. We were surprised by it. We played this tape.
We'll not the entire segment, but we'll watch a good portion of it because Ted Cruz deserves it. Ted Cruz, not literally, figuratively, deserved the beating that he took in this interview. So here we go.
Tape for you last time. We were surprised by it.
Here's the thing, though.
Prefaced it by saying.
Let me give Ted Cruz credit. He took his beating like a man. I'm just saying. He took his beating. What's the dude with the beard that they've been talking about lately? The manosphere dude. He took his beating like that guy with the beard. You know, the beard, the gray and dark in the middle beard that
Every conservative appreciates Ted Cruz because he's one of the smartest and most articulate people in the Congress, and he's conservative. But he referred publicly to what happened on January 6th as, quote, a violent terror attack. Here it is.
We were approaching this week, and it is an anniversary of a violent terrorist attack on the Capitol, where we saw the men and women of law enforcement demonstrate incredible courage, incredible bravery.
It was their
risk their lives to defend.
You know, and I don't have a problem with him talking this way, but I just got to tell you, was it any more or less valiant than the law enforcement that had been dealing with riots and things the entire summer? Although a lot of those places, mayors told them to stand back and let the shit happen. So maybe the fact that these law enforcement officers were doing their job, I commend them for that. I have no problem with the law enforcement at the Capitol that day. They were just doing their job, right? They were doing what they're supposed to, try to keep people out of it. Although some of them weren't doing their job. They were clearly not doing their job. There were some that were just watching and letting shit happen that never should have been let happen. And people who were there were saying, hey, why are you letting this happen? Why don't you call reinforcements? Why don't you do something to stop this nonsense where they're breaking into the Capitol building? And they just stood there and watched. Like, you know, they didn't care. They didn't, you know, notice at the Supreme Court, those videos from when Kavanaugh was being, confirmed or whatever, sworn in, the cops saw them pounding on the doors and they got in front of the doors. And they had people there stopping them from doing what they were doing. Why? Didn't they do that at the Capitol building? Why did they just watch people breaking windows and shit? I don't know. I do not know.
Defend the men and women who serve in this Capitol.
Senator Cruz was game enough to come on tonight. We appreciate that. He joins us now. Senator, thanks so
came
much
and took the
for
fire.
coming on.
I give him credit.
So I guess I mean, there are a lot of dumb people in the Congress. You're
Hello,
not
Lexi.
one of them.
How you doing?
Smarter than I am. And you never use words carelessly. And yet you called this a terror attack when by no definition was it a terror attack. That's a lie. Yep. You told that lie on purpose, and I'm wondering why you did.
Well, Tucker, thank you for having me on. When you aired your episode last night, I sent you a text shortly thereafter and said, listen, I'd like to go on because the way I phrased things yesterday, it was sloppy and it was frankly dumb.
No!
And I don't buy that. Whoa. I don't buy that. Look, I've known you a long time, since before you went to the Senate. You were a Supreme Court contender. You take words as seriously as any man who's ever served in the Senate. And every word, you repeated that phrase. I do not believe that you used that accidentally. I just don't.
So, Tucker, as a result of my sloppy phrasing, it's caused a lot of people to miss.
It's not sloppy phrasing. Ted Cruz needed some bail from the media. And I will say this once if I don't say it 1,000 times. They're never going to vote for you, Ted. So don't even give him that much. Don't even give them that much. That's all he was doing. He's trying to, because he's one of the people who voted. He was one of the senators who voted to postpone or not certify some votes, and they're all over on his ass for that. And now he's trying to make up with them, but they don't care. They're never going to like you, Ted. So don't try to make them like you. Just stick with your guns and don't pander to the people who don't ever give a shit about you.
Misunderstand what I meant. Let me tell you what I meant to say. What I was referring to are the...
Oh, what you meant to say. You mean you didn't choose your words carefully there, Ted?
Limited number of people who engaged in violent attacks against police officers. Now, I think you and I both agree that if you assault a police officer, you should go to jail. That's who I...
Really? So every time some rioters assault police officers, it's a terrorist attack. So all the protests from that entire year were terrorist attacks then. Is that what you're saying, Ted? He might be saying that. I don't know.
I was talking about, and the reason the phrasing was sloppy is I have talked dozens, if not hundreds of times. I've drawn a distinction. I wasn't saying that the thousands of peaceful protesters supporting Donald Trump are somehow terrorists. I wasn't saying the millions of patriots across the country supporting President Trump are terrorists, and that's what a lot of people have misunderstood that comment.
Wait a second, but even hold on. What you just said doesn't make sense. So if somebody assaults a cop, he should be charged and go to jail. I couldn't agree more. We have said that for years. But that person's still not a terrorist. How many people have been charged with terrorism?
None.
On January 6th. Like, why'd you use that word? You're playing into the other side's characterization that, as Joe Kent just explained, allows them to define an entire population as foreign combatants. And you know that. So why'd you do it?
So Tucker, let me answer you directly. The reason I use that word, for a decade, I have referred to people who violently assault police officers as terrorists. I've done so over and over and over again. If you look at all the assaults we've seen across the country, I've called that terrorism over and over again. That being said, Tucker, I agree with you. It was a mistake to say that yesterday, and the reason is what you just said.
D.F. Richard, good question. So BLM equals terrorist, right, Ted? He has called BLM terrorists. So I'll give him that. I'll give him that. He has done that. Now, I don't know if he's, well, a terrorist attack. I don't know. So, you know, even though I'm not giving him this one, I think he was trying to pander to people who don't give a shit about him.
Which is, we've now had a year of Democrats and the media twisting words and trying to say that all of us are terrorists, trying to say you're a terrorist, I'm a terrorist. And so, look, I don't like people who assault cops, and I stand up and defend cops. And the reason I use that word is that's the word I've always used for people that violently attack cops. But in this context, I get why people were angry, because we've had a year of the corrupt corporate media and Democrats claiming anyone who objected to the election fraud. And by the way, remember what was happening during those protests?
Can I ask, hold on, you work in the, I guess I just don't believe you. And I mean that with respect, because I have such respect for your acuity and your precision. And I've seen it on display. I've covered you as a reporter. I know how you speak. And you have sat there for a year and watched people use language to distort the events of that day. Intentionally. Insurrection. Coup.
Of course it
terrorism.
Wasn't an insurrection. Saying it's an insurrection is a political term.
And also the fact that terrorism would be a planned, is terrorism generally planned, or at least used for, granted, let's see, the protests were used for political, that'd be just saying like any protest that devolves into a riot is terrorism. I don't know. Anyway, if you want to watch the rest of that, it's in the link. It'll be in the link. Let's see. And then I just have a couple articles left. One from the Federalist, 5 actual democracy, and 4 other things the left called a threat to democracy besides January 6th. Let me skip that one though. You can read that one on your own. This is the one I wanted to show you though, because this is kind of funny. So Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker issued a statement blaming former President Donald Trump and the January 6th rioters for the death of a Capitol police officer who died at the hands of a black nationalist in April. Here's what he wrote. 1 year ago, citizens across this nation turned away the forces threatening the democratic process and saw through a fair, transparent election for the most powerful office in the world, proving again the system is greater than a single faction, Baker wrote in a statement. Oh, hang on here. Here's the rub. Here's what he wrote. Let me put this up here. Sorry. Right. Yeah. A despicable attempt on the part of former President Trump and his allies to undo what generations of Americans fought and died for. The right to free and fair elections will stain this nation's history forever. Thankfully, the Capitol Police and every law enforcement officer and member of the U.S. military there that day stepped into the violence and successfully restored order. One of those officers who lost his life on that day was William Evans, a North Adams native who tragically leaves a beautiful family. His actions and his colleagues' actions that day will stand as a shining example of heroism and bravery. 1 year ago, citizens across this nation turned away from the forces threatening the democratic process and saw through a fair and transparent election for the most powerful office in the world, proving again that the system is greater than a single faction. But wait, whoa, wait, hold on, back up. One of those officers who lost his life that day was William Evans? William Evans? Whoa, wait a minute. William Evans. I know that name. Capitol Police Officer William Evans died in April. After 25-year-old Noah Green, a devout follower of the Nation of Islam, and radical Louis Farrakhan rammed into a Capitol barricade and attacked officers with a knife. But Baker's statements claiming the action that Trump and his allies on January 26, 2021 would stay in the nation's history forever, the Republican governor attributed Evans' death to the Capitol riot. Twitter users quickly jumped on the statement to point out that Evans died in a separate attack months after the Capitol riot. And as a matter of fact, he was not even on duty or near the Capitol on January 6th. He was at home with his kids. He had planned the holiday well in advance, knowing that they had the day off school. What's this? Officer William Evans wasn't killed on January 6th. He died in April after a black nationalist rammed a barricade near the Capitol. So they tried to attribute Capitol officers him dying on January 6th. Oh my God. All right, I got to wrap it up here soon. But hey, before I do that, one, hit the like button if you're here, if you're still here. Kind of a light show today, but if you're here and you haven't done so, hit the like button. What was the other thing I had up here? Okay, that's him. Oh, the other things so here's the other things that are going to be in the tab today, and the links that I didn't get to. One of them is going to be this one: actual democracy, and 4 other things the left called a threat to democracy besides January 6th. 1, democracy itself is a threat to democracy. When an elected majority of the U.S. Senate, including West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, determined not to pass President Joe Biden's Build Back Bankrupt plan, the left erupted into cries that this act of democratic governance was in fact threatening democracy itself. Manchin is killing the Biden legislative agenda and perhaps the future of American democracy too, said Mehdi Hassan, that jackass from MSNBC. The other political party in our two-party system is a threat to democracy. The GOP is a grave threat to American democracy, ran a serious headline in The Atlantic in April. Americans must get serious about fighting the Republican threat to our democracy, blared another headline in the Chicago Sun-Times, adding the party has become a corrupt force spouting violent rhetoric and plotting to overthrow our democracy. You mean they plan on getting voted into office and threaten the Democratic seats and majority in the House and Senate? Well, yeah, that's a threat to the Democratic majorities in the House and Senate. Parents at school board meetings are a threat to democracy. We all know about the letter from the National School Board Association Attorney General Merrick Garland's Department of Justice smearing concerned parents of school children as domestic terrorists. The U.S. Supreme Court is a threat to democracy. New York Magazine's Eric Levitz threatened last month that if the court's right-wing majority finds that it can continually push the boundaries of conservative judicial activism without undermining its own popular legitimacy, then the consequences for progressivism and popular democracy could be dire. And our bicameral legislature. The design of our legislative branch set up in Article 1, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution to ensure that Americans were represented based on both population size and states' interest is a threat to democracy. They've been saying that. Democrats want it to be a majority rule ordeal, and they say that, well, these states with small populations have too much representation because they don't have the population. They represent fewer people than da-da-da-da-da. Well, sorry, that's how a representative republic is. We're not a democracy. We are 51 separate democracies sharing some common goals. So, sorry, suckers. We're not getting rid of the United States Senate anytime soon. Ain't happening. And on that note, the other thing that's going to be here, that if you want to see this, here's, because people were talking about the comparisons between January 6th and the George Floyd riots, the summer of, what do they call it? The summer of, what did that lady call it? It's the something summer, and the Seattle, or the Washington governor called it. Anyway. So here's a good little thing from Real Clear Investigations, updated and reposted. Real Clear Investigations, January 6th versus the BLM riots comparison. They give you a kind of a breakdown of everything that went on. So, like, I'll just give you a couple examples. So, police officer fatalities. Now, I think they're a little low on the George Floyd riots, but they say police officers fatalities, none for the Capitol riot, and 1 for the BLM riots. I'm not sure. Police officers, and they also have the 2017 inauguration riot when Donald Trump was inaugurated. Police officers assaulted or injured, 140 in the Capitol riot, 2,037 during the George Floyd riots, and 12 during the inauguration. Non-officers who died, Ashley Babbitt and 3 others for Capitol riot, between 6 and 20 plus the George Floyd riots, and none for the inauguration. But anyway, it has a complete list and comparison breakdown, which I do not have centered, obviously. How's that? But you can take that out, because if anyone wants to tell you that the January 6th insurrection was the worst thing happening, then, Summer of Love, thank you. Yes, we can compare the January 6th to the Summer of Love, which caused between $1 and $2 billion of damage versus 1.5 million on the Capitol end. So, all right. That's got to be it for today, gang. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. 22 people, 19 likes. Okay, I see that switched because some people left already. And we didn't have anyone show up in open mic, and I think I closed the Twitter space. Did I? Oh, I hope I did. I intended to. Did I close that? Yes, I did. Okay, good. It's the weekend. We're here. It's Friday. And I don't know. We may do a trail stop stream. I was going to drive to Omaha this weekend, but those plans got thwarted. Thank you to our sponsors today. That would be John Moses Browning. I believe that might be Duck Dog, but who knows? And also Tyler Alexander. Thanks for sponsoring the show today. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who participated in the chat. Please share the stream before, during, and after the stream. If you're watching this on a replay, put a comment in the comment section so I know you dropped by. I always appreciate when people do that. And finally, if you want to sponsor the show, you can do that at PDawgKnight.live at 24/7. That is the Streamlabs place where you donate through Streamlabs, where Susan doesn't take 30% of your money. Or you can do SuperChats down there, or you can, there's a couple other options down in the description if you want to sponsor the show. That is it for this week, people. The week is over. I hope you have a great weekend planned. We might do a trail stop stream tomorrow with me and Lady Boomer, just talking about random things that have nothing to do with politics, just fun stuff. And if we don't, I'll see you on Monday. You guys have a great weekend. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.